to the Daily Ascent. I'm Molly Carmel, and this is the podcast I always wish existed. A bite sized, on the ground spiritual note to change your mood and your outlook on life. To make us all a little bit more awake, alive, and ascending. So, I want to talk about, well, first of all, welcome back. It's Monday. We're back in action. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about the power of saying no, not as like a rejection, but really as one of the most loving and life-giving choices that we can make. And this matters to so many of us, myself included, obviously, because I feel like we've just been trained to override ourselves, especially around the holidays, and then wonder why we feel so depleted and resentful or just super disconnected afterwards. And, over Christmas, something really surprised me. I had a ton of invitations, which I feel so, so grateful for, especially since I don't even celebrate Christmas. And um, Christmas Eve arrived, and I just had like a bunch of really lovely plans with people I adore. And the big one was this like open house party that I had technically said yes to, like one of those things where you can just kind of like pop in, pop out, very casual, no pressure. And as I was sort of figuring out my getup, my festive getup, my entire body was saying no. Like, just clearly saying no. Like, I cannot put on a face of makeup right now. That feeling like I actually cannot put on a face of makeup. I actually cannot put on a dress right now. And it wasn't really even that loud or dramatic. It was like this very like steady signal running underneath everything else. Like, please don't do this to me. And by the way, I'd like to say, very excited about this party. Really loved the people there. And I remember standing in my kitchen with my phone in my hand, just kind of rereading the details of the party, how to get there, and just feeling this like weight settle in my chest. And that bargaining started up. It's Christmas Eve. You should go. You can just stay for a little bit. People will understand. You never know what's going to happen, those sorts of things. But underneath all of that was just this deep exhaustion that I like hadn't been willing to admit, and just a desire to stop being on and stop managing and stop performing. And so at 6:45 that night, I made a different choice. Brave. I have to say, brave. I texted my friend Wendy and just said I wasn't feeling up to it, just told the truth. I got into bed with my dogs. I turned on the TV. I shut everything else down, no other screens, only one screen, not the big screen and the little screen. No explaining myself, just rest. And my body really exhaled. I'd been really pushing myself over these holidays, and I slept 11 hours that night. It was glorious. Not to brag, just telling you as a story. Hopefully, you can learn something from it. And when I woke up on Christmas morning, I felt like a completely different person, calmer, clearer, softer in my own skin. And then again, like I'm so lucky, but so many invitations started coming in on Christmas. My friend wanted me to come over for Christmas dinner. Another friend wanted to go to me to go to an afternoon meeting with her. And these were such loving, simple invitations. And I just knew I needed to stay home. I just knew it. I knew it in my gut. I knew it in my soul. And listen, there was also some pushback, some please come, I'll come over and bring your gifts, some disappointment that I could feel with words, without words. But you know what? My answer was still no. Not defensive and not apologetic, just really, really steady. Because I just knew what my body and my soul needed. And I think I just wasn't willing to abandon that knowing. And by the end of these 24 hours, literally 6:45 on the 24th to 6:45 on the 25th, I felt restored in a way that I hadn't felt in such a long time. I'm honestly sitting here filming this just like in such gratitude for how rested I feel. And honestly, I haven't even done something impressive. I just listened to my body and I listened to my soul. And, a great pocket sage to talk about no with is Melody Beattie, may she rest. But man, she has one of the best daily readers on the face of the earth. I talk about it a lot on this show, The Language of Letting Go. I call it the spiritual horoscope. And on August 7th, she writes, no, simple to pronounce, hard to say. We're afraid people won't like us or we feel guilty. The problem is, if we don't learn to say no, we stop liking ourselves and the people we're always trying to please. When we can say no, we can say yes to the good. One more time for those of you in the back row. No. Simple to pronounce, hard to say. We're afraid people won't like us or we feel guilty. The problem is, if we don't learn to say no, we stop liking ourselves and the people we're always trying to please. When we can say no, we can say yes to the good. Every time I read that, it lands deeper and deeper. And so the word of the day, no. Not the sharp no, not the reactive no, not the hand in your face no, just this grounded, self-respecting no. The kind of no that comes from learning to know yourself and learning to know yourself well enough to stop negotiating with your own limits. Because no is clarity and self-trust in action. So here's what I want to name about this. Saying no isn't about being rigid or selfish. It's just about staying in relationship with yourself. And when we ignore what our bodies and our spirits are asking for, we don't just get tired. We get resentful and disconnected and dulled. Like it dulls our light. It dims our light. And honestly, the thing that surprised me over those 24 hours wasn't just how rested I felt physically. It just was how much more myself I felt emotionally. And I think it's because I just listened. When I said no to the plans, I was actually saying yes to my nervous system settling. I was saying yes to welcoming back some energy and some light into me. I was saying yes to a version of myself that wasn't stretched thin or managing other people's expectations or people pleasing or all that stuff that I do so knee jerk. And listen, I know the holidays are over, but this is incredibly hard during the holidays when love comes in the form of invitations, and saying no can really feel like you're rejecting connection. It was actually the hardest part of saying no to that Christmas Eve party, was how deeply I value connection and friendship. But when you honor your no, you don't lose generosity. You actually preserve it. You don't become less loving. You just become more honest. And from that place, the yeses that come later are actually real. Rest isn't something that we earn by overgiving. Boy, do I wish it was. It's something that we allow when we trust ourselves enough to stop. And so, our question of the day is, where in your life is your body quietly asking for a no? And what might be possible if you just listened? And before we close, I want to say something really quickly, which is, if you struggle with your relationship with food, emotional eating, binge eating, or just constantly pushing past your own limits, learning how to say no is not a side skill. It's foundational. So much healing begins when we stop abandoning ourselves in the name of being agreeable or available. And this is a big part of what I do in my Stop Starting Over system program. We learn how to listen to our body and respect our limits and build a life that doesn't require that we recover from it. And so if you're curious about that at all, I encourage you to go to my website, mollycarmel.com, and I'd love to get on a call with you about it. But whether or not you do that, I just want to let you know you matter and your no matters. It protects your yes. And I am right here with you, Ascenders, choosing rest honestly, and I'm choosing self-respect right alongside of you. We rise together, and I will see you next time. Bye.